find the coordinates of a center. So the first one is what? A center, and then the second one is what? A radius of a circle. So this thing here is the equations of a circle. That's the x squared plus or y squared plus 2y minus 8, everything equal to 0. These are all the informations that we are given. So we want to find the center and the radius of a circle. For sure, you won't know what a circle looks like, assuming this is a circle. So with the center here, and then the radius is from here to anywhere on the circle. Okay, so this is the radius and this is the center. So these are the two things that we want to find. By giving this circle here is being given by the equation, right? Now you must know one thing. You must know here is that you must know. So this thing there, you must, right? So you must. Okay, so you must, is an obligation. So you must know the equations of what? The general equations of a circle. That says that x squared plus what? Y squared plus 2gx plus what? 2fy plus c, everything equal to 0. You must know this thing, that this is the general forms of equations. Okay, something that I normally use, or this is what I have at my disposal, so I normally use this as for a demonstration. This is a whiteboard marker, right? So you know this thing by its image, right? So you must know this thing, that this is the general equations of a circle by its image. If you want to know how to prove this thing, just comment below, right? So comment if you want to know more in depth. But here we are just going to use the definition that we have here to solve our problem. Now all that we are going to do here is that we are going to compare. So we are going to do some comparison, so meaning that we are comparing this with that, right? So this is what we are giving. So let me change this array here. So this one goes like this. Is that okay? So meaning that we are comparing what we are giving with what we know. So we know that this is the general equation, this is what we are giving. So comparing, the question here is, why are we comparing? That is what the question we have here. So before that you also have to know that the radius of a circle in this form is being given by the g squared, right, plus what? F squared, and then minus c. And I'll explain this in just a second where these people are coming from. So this is the general definitions of a radius of a circle in this form. Now it's your duty to find a g, f, as well as c. Always c here, the letter c is always the constant. So what I mean the constant here is that is the number in the equation given to you without any variable attaching to that. So in other words, without any letter attaching to that. So this guy here, straightforward, we can say that this is going to be our c, right? So c is going to be a -8. So pay very close attention to negative when we are solving questions like this. So here we have our c to be equal to -8. Is that okay? So perfect. Now you have to find a g and the f. Now, so after comparison, so by comparison, what we are going to do is that, see, this is the general equation here that says that 2g, so 2g is always a friend, right? So this guy here is a friend to what? To x, right? So always the 2g is attached to the x. So if you do the comparison from what we are giving, now this here is what? X is different from x squared, right? Here we are talking about just the x, so x is different from what? X squared. So since from this equation we cannot see the x here, it is being assuming that the x is equal to what? 0 from the general equation given to us, right? So x is equal to 0. So if I'm going to compare, so the friend of what? This x here, so 2g, so meaning that we have our 2g equal to the x from the equation being given to us. The friend of x from the equation given to us is what? 0. So that means that our g here is going to be equal to 0. Does it make sense? Okay, so perfect. If you have any question, make sure that you just comment along. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure that you just give us a thumbs up, or if you're new here, to try and subscribe to the channel for content like this. Okay, similar to now that we have the g, so we are just going to look for our f. So going for the f here is what? The same process, right? So you have the 2f is a friend of y, right? So comparing that, so if you do the comparison, you can say that our 2f here is also a friend of a 2 in this equation given to us, so meaning that 2y is going to be equal to 2f. So if you do that comparison, so you have a 2f that is equal to 2, right? So solving this, and you have your f to be equal to 1. Is that okay? So these are all that we are looking for to find what the radius of the circle based on the information given to us. With all these things, we can easily find the radius here. So what about the center? That's the first part of the question. So finding the center here, this is what we are going to use. So we have the center to be equal to negative g comma negative f, right? So this is for the center. So if the center is equal to negative t comma negative f, do you have the g and then do you have the f, right? So do you have the g and then do you have the f? For sure, that is true. So we have the g to be equal to 0. So negative g here, negative 0 is still going to be 0, and then you have the negative f, so you have the f to be 1. So meaning that our negative f here is going to just be your negative 1. So this is going to be the center, right? So you have the 0, negative 1 to be the center of the circle. So plugging that into the radius definition, so that we should have the square root. So you have our area to be equal to the square root of, that's the g squared. So you have a 0 squared plus what, f squared. So f is 1 squared minus, so this is a minus, what is the c? This is where you have to pay a close attention. So we have minus c. So minus c here from this calculation, you have the c to be equal to a negative 8. Don't let this negative here confuse you with what the negative in the general definition. So we have the minus c already. So putting the c here, c is what, negative 8. So make sure that you put that into bracket, right? Okay, so here we are going to have this is going to be 0. So the square root of 0 is just 0. Square root of 1. This guy here tends to be a plus, so plus 8. So we have the root of 9, that is going to be equal to 3. So we have our area, the radius. So the radius from the question to be equal to 3. Is that okay? So this is how simple you solve questions like this when you have been asked to find the center and the radius given the equation like this. Sometimes you may have the values of the x in your question. So based on what you have been given, that is where your starting point is going to be. This is another question similar to what we just solved. So we have the equation being given to us, that's the equations of the circle with that constant, which in the other case should be the c, right? So the c in this case is missing here, so that is being replaced by letter m. Now we have that, and the radius of the circle to be 7/2. So the question here is you are required to find the values of the m. So find the values of so it means that find me, right? So that is very simple. Now with the same approach here, is that we are going to use these informations given to you, compare that with the general definitions of a circle here, right? So using the formula or the definitions of finding the radius of a circle, that's the square root of what, that's the g square, right? So plus of f square and then minus c, and then this is the radius. Is that okay? The question is, do you have this? That is one. Do you have that? Do you have this as well as this? Is that okay? Now based on the formations that we are being given, we have the r to be 7/2. Do you have the g? We don't have the g, we don't have the f. So we are going to do that comparison. We compare this with the general equation, find the g and the f, and then the only letter that is missing here, this is the only guy that is a very notorious guy here. So you can easily find the values of the c once you have these three people, 1, 2, 3, right? So that's just a very straight. So why don't you give me the answer to this value here, the m, in the comment section below, so that tells us that you are participating.